What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Patriots Den podcast. Right? We got a lot to talk about. But most importantly, I want to talk about our title. I'm going to talk about that a little later on in today's show, the BLK scam. We're going to talk about that a little more in the show, though, because that's something that we need to talk about. First up, some things were brought to my attention over the time is there are a lot of people who are waking up. There are a lot of people who are waking up and they aren't sure. They see what the Biden administration is doing. They don't like the way the Democrat Party is going, but they also don't have faith in the Republicans. They don't know if they should trust the Republicans, and I think that is a big issue that we face and that we must address. That we have to address, and I'm going to help a couple people here with that. Now, I was talking to someone. All right, I see you, Kayla. I see you. I was talking to some people, and they say, you've changed my mind on the spectrum of things, but I'm still going to be voting for Beto. Now, Beto is running for governor of Texas against Republican incumbent Greg Abbott. And they said, you've changed my mind on a lot of things. I'm conservative, I'm Republican leaning, but I like Beto. And we have that in a lot of people. They're Republican leaning, right? But they don't know how to officially make that break and say, you know what? I think I'm going to start voting Republican. They don't know how to make that break. And so what we have to start doing, not only me, but my Republican viewers, we have to start laying down the foundations of the party. Laying down the party's foundations, because the moment you start to lay down the foundations of the party, then someone like the person that I talked to, they can say, you know what? Yeah, I see what you were saying in the past, but now I can say that I'm comfortable with transitioning to the other party, or I'm comfortable with voting for that other candidate while still being in the party that I'm in, because you have laid down the foundations of that candidate. You have laid down the foundations of that party. And so it caught me off guard because it's hard to lay down the foundations of Greg Abbott. Because I view Greg Abbott as a rhino. I'm not a big fan of Greg Abbott. What up, John Drake? I'm not a big fan of Greg Abbott, and I view him as a rhino. So it's hard for me to lay down those foundations. But at the same time, I can always say, well, look at Texas and compare it to something like California, compared to New York. I was talking to someone yesterday, actually. It was just yesterday, and they were like, yeah, I've been watching the show, and one of the episodes that really stood out to me is you were on there with a couple of people. And I say, oh, I know what they're talking about. That's the one where I was with John Drake, because he's on here. Right. And I was like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And they were like, well, I was watching it and you handed it to him. I tell you, you handed it to him. I said, that's what I do all the time. That's what I have to do. If you don't hand it to him, what are you doing? Right. So they were talking to me about how they used to live in California, and they were talking to me about the liberal policies. And I say, exactly. And I say, now, right there, you just explained to me the liberal policies. Now, take that and now answer this. Do you want it in Texas? Do you want it in Texas? If you don't want it in Texas, then you vote for Greg Abbott. You vote for what we have now, and we keep the foundation of what we have now. If you do want it, or you just so upset about what Greg Abbott's doing, then you vote Beto. But me personally, even though I don't like Greg Abbott, even though I'm not his biggest supporter, I will be supporting Greg Abbott. Right, that's where I'm gonna back Greg Abbott, because Beto's not the one. I wish Allen West would have won. Everyone knows how I feel about Allen West, and that's why I would have personally liked to win, but he didn't. And so we can't be so full of grief and spite about someone that we then write in a candidate, or we go and we vote for the opposite party simply because of the grief that our candidate didn't win. I won't be doing it, and I hope y'all don't do it. right? Because I mean, Beto has created a platform on lies, right? It's blatant lies, and I wish more people would see that. I wish more people would see the blatant lies that that Beto O'Rourke has put out about Greg Abbott, the blatant lies he's put out about his own policy, the blatant lies in his own name. The guy's name is Robert Francis. Oh, not Beto. Where did he get the Beto from? Right? He was trying to pander to the Hispanic audience. I mean, he has a voting record left of Sheila Jackson Lee. I don't like him. The guy's a straight up socialist. He hates our Constitution, especially the Second Amendment and First Amendment, the two biggest that we hold dear and near to our hearts here in the state of Texas. He hates them, and so I can't support the guy. Never can, never will. I mean, he didn't even win the state of Texas in the primary. Why he's running, I have no clue. But with that being said, we have to lay the foundations of Greg Abbott, because I can talk hate about Beto all day, but if you don't know why you should vote for Greg, then you're most likely gonna vote for Beto. Beto put out this thing about the abortion ban that Greg Abbott put into law, when Greg Abbott actually didn't put it into law. It was a trigger. And Greg Abbott came out and, he said, we're going to try our best to get all the rapists off the street of Texas. Greg Abbott has been a governor who's been tough on crime. He's been, I want to say tough on our border, but deep down inside, I know that it's really a political ploy for the election and that it's probably going to change. But he's been tough on our border as of right now. He supports our Second Amendment. In the state of Texas, everyone has a gun. Let's be honest, right? Everyone in the state of Texas has a gun. And for Beto to say, I'm going to take your AR-15s, I'm going to take your AK-47s, automatically labels him non-Texan, right? Texas can't even support or say that he's ours, because who says that? No one in the state of Texas, right? So he's against your Second Amendment. He's against your First Amendment because he sides with the mainstream media and the censorship that we as conservatives face. Those are things that he supports. And so Greg Abbott is the exact opposite of that. Everything that Beto isn't, Greg Abbott is. And that's why that's that foundation. Everything that Texas is, Greg Abbott is. That's that foundation that we have to pull forward. Now, you want another reason why you shouldn't vote for Beto? You want another reason why you shouldn't vote for any Democrat? I want to show you this right here. How do I, let's see if it's going to show me how I look, because I want to show you all this. This is yeah, okay, we're good. I want y'all to watch this. Pay attention. I'm going to turn my camera around for y'all at home to see as well. This is beyond me. I looked at this. I said, wow. Pay attention. Folks. Pay attention. I want to pause it right here. So there's this app called the BLK app. The BLK app is a dating app, I'm guessing. But when you start listening to the song, you'll realize that it's not actually about dating. It's about a certain culture that I talk about a lot. But that's what this is. It's a dating app, and they put out this ad featuring Saucy Santana, I guess, and Trina.
We got one. It's voting season, bruh. No voting, no loving. No voting, no touching. No voting, no nothing. No voting, no fucking, no voting, no fucking.
So right here, right here, this is what they're giving to the black community, right? To the woke community that's listening to this type of stuff, right? And it's saying no voting, no loving, no voting, no touching. It's pretty much saying, no voting, no premarital intercourse, which you shouldn't be wanting to have anyway. right? That's the first problem. You shouldn't be wanting to do that anyway, and it's setting up this awkward hookup culture. Let me keep playing the thing.
Now about in, now love it. Now about in, now touch it. Now about in, now nothing. Now fucking, now fucking, now fucking, now fucking. BLK app looking for some action.
Stop. BLK app looking for some action. We know what they're talking about, right? We know what they're talking about. This is the app, right? This is the app. It's a hookup app. You go on the app and it's like Tinder or something. But the difference is they're not actually looking for someone to marry or date. They're just looking for a hookup, right? They're looking for some action, as I'm guessing that Saucy Santana says.
Scott was heavy. Faces a 9, abs a 10. D is a to be determined. He got that joke. He don't think bro. The only red flag is that he don't vote.
Right? So they're describing the human anatomy, you know, they're going off. And all of a sudden, he don't vote. So if somebody doesn't vote, I got to get rid of my lustful thoughts about them, because that's what they're pushing here. Lustful thoughts, right? We got to push the lustful thoughts away.
Oh, it's midterms. All the single cute. Wanna hit this booty, gotta do this to be doing.
This is what they're feeding the black community. This is what they're feeding the woke community, the LGBT community. This is what they truly think about.
Now vote in, now love it. Now vote in, now touch it. Now vote in, now nothing. Now vote in, now fucking, now voting, now fucking. Now vote in, now love it. Now vote in, now touch it. Now vote in, now nothing. Now vote in, now fucking, now.
I'm guessing this is the Supreme Court, right? They are pushing immaturity, lust, all of these hookup culture, all of this into a song to get people out to vote.
Don't stop now. Stop about it, boss a kid, but my hunger through. Put the buy in partisan politics.
Go back. Show y'all the app again. And then I'm going to show y'all an app, the same version, but this is what
he's so nasty. When you want to flirt you.
There was another one that they did. I can stop sharing now because y'all can't get the point. But I'm going to show y'all another one that they did that was during the vaccines. That was during the vaccines, right? They put out this idea that the people who are watching them, right? The people who are paying attention to this stuff, majority of it being the black community and the young woke white community, the LGBT community, I'm sure there's the Hispanic community, all these different communities, all of them with one idea, the wokeness, the I want to do what I want to do idea. And these are the ones, right? These are the ones that that video targets, and that's what they think of them as. Y'all don't care anything about this, so we're going to put out a song that's degrading of your community, that's degrading of your race and who you are, and we're going to put it out, and we're going to put voting in it. And that's how they're getting people out to vote. And people are falling for it year after year after year after year. How did they do it last year? They put it out as a hateful message to Trump. This year, they're using it as getting rappers, I guess, who don't actually have a career, right? And making them, hey, go make this song about us, right? Go make this song for us. This is a dating app. I want to see if I can find the other one that they did, right? I mean, you can't make this stuff up. If you don't vote, you can't sleep with me before we get married on this hookup app. That's what they think about the black community, right? That's what they think about the black community. That's what they think about this woke culture, is if you don't vote the way we want you to vote, then you can't have premarital sex that you find on this app that we have. This is another one that I want to show you. This is another one that I want to show you. If you don't get vaccinated, Thank you, Callan. Yes, I just left. I just left the barbershop. You know, we have the fresh cut. You know, Callan notices it. Somebody notices it. Thank you for that. But let me show y'all this. This is what they think of y'all. This is what they think. This is what they think.
You're finna online date chat, find a mate chat, open up the okay, yeah. Profile picture looking tight chat, nice chat, got your bio reading right chat.
I missed it. Hold on, I missed it. Let me go back.
Right chat.
Right? This is that same app. This is that same app. And what does this app perceive? It perceives you have women going on this app looking for a one night stand with a man. But before you can go have this one night stand, you got to vote and you got to get vaccinated. Really?
Precise chat, but before you find a date chat, you gotta wait chat. Gotta go vaccinate chat, get it straight chat. Girl, you look good, want you vaccinated.
Now, anybody who knows this type of music knows that the real song says, won't you back that thing up? And the song is about, you know, the twerking and the gyrating and backing it up. But this one is called Vax That Thing Up because Juvenile, nobody listens to his music anymore and he needs a career. So that's how we're going to make your career, Juvenile. We're going to give you something, right? And you're going to say, Vax that thing up.
Keep watching. I have some young brother, want you vax that thing up. They in real life, you need to vax that thing up. Feeling freaky all night.
Feeling freaky all night, you need to vax that thing up. That right there is the line of the show today. Feeling freaky all night, you need to vax that thing up. Somebody type that in the comments so I can pin it. Feeling freaky all night, you need to back that thing up. Appreciate you. Thank you. You know, Facebook's watching, YouTube's watching, Instagram watching, everybody's watching. Everybody's watching them talk about vax that thing up and no voting, no loving. No voting, no loving. And if you feeling freaky all night, you need to vax that thing up. Right? Is this where we are as a community? Thank you so much, Calvin. Feeling freaky all night, you need to vax that thing up. I'm done. I am done. I can't. I wish I was making this stuff up. I truly wish I was making this stuff up. That's what they think about stuff. That's what they think about people nowadays. No voting, no loving, and feeling freaky all night. Won't you vax that thing? I don't know about y'all, but I choose not to be a victim to a system that hates me while at the same time that wants to degrade me, while at the same time pushes this narrative that I myself am oppressed simply because the white man told me that I'm oppressed, while at the same time going to my own community that's so oppressed and pushing this narrative on me, feeling freaky all night. Won't you vax that thing up? Really? Calvin, I need to go to church too, because Lord knows this is not for me. I need to go to church too. Calvin's headed to church. See, that's what some of y'all need to be, but I don't get into that. We're going to get into that later. All right, we're going to get into that later. But that's okay. Who am I to judge? Right? Because when you have a system that hates you so much that they are willing to degrade you and call it lifting you up, you know you're on the wrong side. Right? I feel like that's common sense. You know you're on the wrong, which is why I love this book right here. This is one of those books that when I read it, she's on to something. Blackout by Candace Owens. How Black America can make its second escape from the Democrat plantation. Right? Because that's what it is. That's what it is. And you know, I want to pick on somebody who's in the Instagram comment section real quick. I want to pick on somebody. John Drake. I want to talk about him for a second. I can't stand him in politics. I just can't. Because he's everything that I'm against. I can't stand the guy. But he was on the show. And we talked a little bit after the show. And we were able to agree on a lot of things that are in our culture. Right? We were able to agree on a lot of things that are in our culture. And the more I talked to him, I was like, okay, all right, I'll unblock him on Twitter. Y'all know I'm good with the blocking part. I block people quickly. I unblocked him on Twitter. I follow him now, and I try to interact. But he's a capitalistic socialist. That's what I'm gonna call him, a capitalistic socialist in California, because he runs a socialist party, but they use capitalistic tactics for the party. So that's beyond me. And I mean, I can show you pictures of him in Trump hats and stuff. The guy he's weird. He's weird. But at the end of the day, he knows how to find that common ground with people. And that's one of the things that I want to talk. He knows how to find that common ground without the degrading weird stuff. Now, let's not get it wrong. He did use the degrading weird stuff in his governor's race. But the more I talk to him now, I don't get the feeling freaky all night, you need to vax that thing up from him anymore. I get I guess he's matured now. He's a bit more mature and heading somewhere in life. And that's what I get from him now. And if we could have more people like him on the left, just not as left as him, I think we could find some common ground, and we won't have things like feeling freaky all night, you need to vax that thing up, and no voting, no loving. We wouldn't have situations and problems like that in the political universe. Remember, there was a point in time where politics was something was serious. Politics was something that was uplifted and high, not something that you took down to this level and made it into this weird immoral act. It just wasn't that. And so when you have people like the BLK app that do these things, we as a community, the Black community, you're going to fall short. The woke community, they're also going to find short, because I guarantee you majority of people don't actually like that, but mainstream people do like it. That's the difference. When you have a majority mainstream, a popular mainstream that's pushing for this stuff, the actual majority, they're silenced. You can't actually hear them because the actual majority, they're not up on Fox News doing daily interviews. The actual majority isn't on CNN. The actual majority aren't the ones partaking in the polls. You have the small few people considering themselves the majority, and they're the ones that are going forward as the majority. They're the ones who are mainstream. They're the ones that everyone's seeing. And because of that, we as a nation tend to fall. Because until the actual majority start to speak up, until the people that actually matter start to speak up, we'll always be in this weird predicament. We'll always be stuck in this idea where if you come out with a song that says feeling freaky all night, you need to vax that thing up. If we stay in this predicament and people feel comfortable with putting a song out like that, thinking it's going to make a difference, then we have bigger problems. We have bigger problems because we have to do a lot better as a community. I see Liddell Bugs on Facebook. I was like, who is that? I'd have to look over. Right? We have to do better. And we can't do better if we continue to put ourselves in this trap. Right? There's no need for me to rant on for another 30 minutes because it's clear as day. It doesn't get more clear than that they don't care about you, they don't care about your family, and they truly don't care about the next generation, being me, Kayla, Callan, who's on here. They don't care about us that are coming up because that's the narrative that they are trying to push on us. And if we don't break that narrative, if we don't break that barrier, we as a society are doomed. We're going to fail. We're going to fail, right? Because I want to go back. Because if this is what they think about you, right? If this is what they truly think about you, there's nothing that, let me go back to it. Because if this is what they think about you, if this is what they truly think about you, then you are screwed. If that's what they think about you, if when they look at you and the first thing that comes to their mind says, let's make a song about premarital sex and a bunch of immoral stuff, that's going to get them the vote, then you should maybe look at yourself. If that's what they think of you, because I know good and well it's not made to target someone like me, because I'm disgusted. If they think so highly of you that they make a song called Feeling Freaky All Night, you need to vax that thing up, you're probably the problem. But at the end of the day, I know that there are some strong, amazing people. One of them just popped into the comments, Delilah Hernandez, amazing person. I know that there are people like her who will stand up and say, that is not who we support. That's not what we support. We won't be pushing that on our children. We won't be showing that to our future. We won't be playing that at the next rally. That's just not what we do. Because I can guarantee you, you can't go up to her and tell her, if you feeling freaky all night, you need to vax that thing up and make her want to get vaccinated. That's not how people like her roll. People like her have morals, they have values, and they hold themselves up to a higher standard than most people. Thank you, Liddell. Thank you. We love Liddell. Liddell's amazing, right? Liddell's also someone who holds himself to a higher standard, a higher moral, that something like this is not going to attract him. It's not going to attract him. These are your common Americans. These are your hardworking Americans who actually decide what happens. Liddell has been running for office, right? Because he knows he can make a change. He can actually talk one-on-one with the average American without throwing something like this in their face to make that seem like they want to get out and vote. Telling someone that if you don't vote, you can't sleep with me, you shouldn't be sleeping with them in the first place. That's your first mistake. But that's where we are as a civilization now. That's where we have fallen short as a community. Remember, last week on the show, I read you the scripture. It said, seers see not. Prophets prophesied only good things. Because people are going to start turning away from the truth. And that's what's happening. People are turning away from the truth. People are turning away from reality. And we cannot allow it. We have to stand strong in our faith. We have to stand strong in what we believe in. And we have to keep up this fight. Because if that's what they're throwing towards us, then we are doomed. If that works, if that's actually how they're getting people out to vote, if that is actually resonating in someone's heart, if that is actually resonating in someone's mind, and someone is moved to vote because of a no voting, no loving, we are doomed, and we're not doing something right. We see what they're trying to push into the educational systems. We see what type of kid-friendly events they're trying to hold. We see it. Now is the time that we stand up and we do something about it. That's the only way out, is the time that we stand up and we do something about it. Whether you're on the front lines protesting, or whether you're behind the scenes working, running for office, do something. Get active. Get active. If you continue to say, oh, well, I don't know much about it, then you'll never know anything about it. Start researching. Start getting better. Right? There's someone who watches me a lot, Taylor. She comes on all the time. She says, I have no clue what you're talking about, but I'm watching. And that's what matters, is you're watching, you're paying attention. So when something does happen, you're not all the way shocked about it, because you can say, I heard him say this already. It's time that we stand up. I love this. This is how we're going to leave this. We are warriors and made for such as a time for this. Let's stand together, show up at rallies and protest, and get involved. I couldn't have said it better myself. We have to stand together. Whether you know about anything that's happening, right? You don't have to know. But if you know common sense right from wrong, that's all that matters. You don't have to be as politically smart as me. You can be as politically smart as the dog across the street, but at least you're paying attention. At least you're watching, trying to know, right? I know that my take on politics sometimes is a bit more advanced than others. You don't have to be where I am politically. You don't have to be where Delilah is, because she's always involved. She's always in the streets. She's more involved than me. But guess what? Don't let people like that intimidate you, because you too can stand right where they're standing. You don't have to be the brightest. You don't have to be the best talker. All you have to do, if we can stand hand in hand, I guarantee you, with the civil rights marches with Martin Luther King, not all of them were the smartest. Not all of them knew exactly how this was going to end. But at the end of the day, they all stood side by side, arms locked. And they all marched because they all knew they were marching for one reason. And that was to stand together for equality and for change. That's all we got to do, is stand hand in hand, arm in arm, and march, right? We don't have to actually march, right? But to stand hand in hand and fight for what we know is the American way, the conservative, the traditional values, not this, because that's not it. We cannot lower ourselves as a nation to that kind of level where something about if you feeling freaky all night once you vax that thing up motivates people to get out to vote. We as a nation cannot do it. I won't stand for it, and I know you won't stand for it. And I thank y'all for not being able to stand for that. Thank y'all. Love you, Facebook. Love you, YouTube. Remember, stand strong. As Delilah said, we are warriors and made for such a time like this. Let's stand together. I love y'all. I'll see y'all next week, same time, 6 o'clock. Patriots Den podcast. Patrick is signing out.